So I'm now going to show you some of the increases that we're using in this yoke section, and the beginning actually what we were doing in the increases for the shaping. So in this pattern we've got the two very commonly used increases, which is make one right, which is a right leaning increase, and a make one left, which is a left increase. So the left one is easy to do. We're just going to take the left needle and from front to back lift it onto our left needle, and you can sort of check that you can see how that's leaning now to the left, and then we knit into the back loop. So that's the make one left, and then the other one is make one right. I use the R alliteration like rear, so I come in from the back this time, so lift from the back to the front. Again, just check your direction is going to the right, and then this time a little bit trickier, you've got to then knit into the front loop. So that's two very simple increases, and that's finding the bar thread between the stitches. But now we're going to work on the increased stitches that are being given in the actual yoke on the chart. And you can see here that we've got these two boxes, and these are showing us that we've got a right leg increase and a left leg increase. So these are different, and you can see them on the chart. They're represented in these boxes with these diagonal lines, and we've got them 3 times in the chart. We've got them around 5, 13 and then 35. So these are rounds where we will be adding these increases, and it's the same for all sizes. So it's quite important that we really understand how these increases work. Just looking at the chart, I've already done round 5, so I'm going to show you now how to do round 13, the increases. But just looking at where the diagonal square is, if you look down at the actual pattern, you can see that we've got our crosses here, and then we've got these 2 squares coloured in here, and our increases are going to happen in between those 2 corresponding squares. So if we just look at the actual pattern on my jumper, this is the cross, and then these are those 2 grey squares sitting next to each other. So I know that every time I'm going to come to that position going round, that's where I'm going to be adding these increased stitches. So let's look at the actual increases and how they work. So we're talking about now the left leg and the right leg, and it's a lifted left leg and a lifted right leg. So first of all, let's look at where the legs are of the stitch. The one on the left has already been knitted, so I'm just going to show you. These are the legs underneath it. You can see there's 2 legs, and there's one on the left and there's one on the right. So when you're doing a right lifted leg increase, it's actually quite simple. I'll just take that out, and I'm just going to lift the one leg, which is the right leg, onto the needle, and then I knit it. So that's very straightforward. But of course, if we try and lift, let me just put my needle in again. If I try to lift the other leg onto the needle in the same way, it's going to create a twist. So I have to do something else. So instead of working on this stitch, I'm going to start working on the last stitch on the right needle. Now, of course, this stitch hasn't yet been knitted because it's sitting on the right. So now, instead of going 1 row below, I have to go 2 rows below. So I'm picking up the legs there. We've still got 2 legs, one on the right and one on the left, but this time I'm 2 rows below. So again, I'll just take that out. And so for working a left lifted increase, I'm picking up 2 rows below, just the single leg, and I'm just going to lift it onto my needle, and then I'm going to knit into the back loop. And so that is my doing the left lifted increase. Now if I look on my pattern, that's what I've just done. I've done one of these. So you can see the line is going that way. Now on the pattern, I now have to knit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I can do the right leg increase. So let's do that. So I'm just going to knit 5 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And again, I can just check, there's my cross and there's my 2 coloured stitches sitting together. And as I said, this is where I want the increase to happen between those 2 stitches. So the last one I did was a left lifted leg. Now I'm going to do the right. Now this is simpler because I've already knitted this stitch on this left needle. So now I only need to go 1 row below, lift it onto the needle, and it's done. So those are the 2 increases. And now let's just do that a few more times. Again, let's go back to the chart. This is the one I've just done. And again, each time there's always going to be 5 stitches between. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let's do our 5 stitches again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just check I'm in the right position. I can see there's those 2 coloured squares together. Now this time I'm doing the right, because I'm alternating, the left lifted increase. So now I've got to go 2 rows below. I lift it onto the needle and knit into the back loop. So that's the left lifted increase done. Now knit 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now I'm doing the right lifted. So this is the easier one. Just straight on, onto the needle, knit. Again, knit 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now it's the left lifted loop. So I've got to lift 2 rows below, place it onto the needle, knit into the back loop. 5 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Keep checking the position. And now I'm doing the right leg, lift it up and knit. And you will carry on doing that all the way round. And I know it is a little bit confusing, and you've just got to keep remembering to alternate between the right leg and the left leg. But once you've done it, you will have created all the increases for that round.